Hey ladies and gentlemen, this is another rendition of a video made by Reinhardt. So today we're talking all about circles. And these are non-polygons because they have curves. We're doing circumference and area. So there's a way to remember these using a saying. So cherry pie is delicious. I bet you can agree. So we use C for cherry. And then pi, the pi symbol, times D is delicious. And then area stands for apple pies, R2. So A equals pi R squared. Technically not 2, but hopefully I'll get you through and help you remember. So today we're talking about circumference, which is a distance around a circle. And the formula for that is C equals pi 3.14 times D. Now technically pi is a number that doesn't end, so we approximate just so we can compare answers. We use the math number 3.14, which is what I want you to do unless you are asked to write it in terms of pi. So if you're asked to write it in terms of pi, which I'll show you later today, then you did it a little different way. So if we wanted to find their circumference of this bike tire, circumference is the distance around, so real life application, like the size of the tube that you need to fill up this bike tire. Circumference equals pi, we're going to use 3.14 times the diameter. So let's just say the diameter in this case is, let's say the distance across, right? That's diameter, has to go through the middle. Let's say you have 18-inch rims. So you could have the inch sign or IN, so either way, like this, you plug in at 18. So you go to your calculator and do 3.14 times 18, and you get the answer of 56.52. Now, ladies and gentlemen, circumference is just like perimeter, but it's fancy. It's for a circle, and circles are fancy. No doubt about that. So we need to label it in just plain units. So our label here is inches. You could either like that or with the 2 hash marks that stand for inches. It looks like this. Got to have a C equals, and your work needs to be fluent, straight down from formula on. Now, sometimes they ask you to answer in terms of pi. If that's the case, that means they want your answer with the pi left in. They want the exact answer. So you're going to just leave the pi and plug in the diameter. And then you're going to rewrite it with the coefficient, the number, coming first. So 18 pi is the same, or approximately the same, as that. Now, since we rounded this to 3.14, it's not exactly the same, but that's what we use in math so that we can compare answers. So mathematicians all around the world, they use 3.14 as an approximation for pi. Let's practice another one. So the target symbol, you see that outside, I'm sure, every day on your way to school, or frequently, if you don't go that way. Circumference is pi times d. So you write C equals pi times d if you're asked to find the distance around, like you wanted to know, okay, if I were to wrap this up, how much ribbon would I need? So circumference is 3.14, and I multiply it times the diameter. So I have to know the distance across the circle. Let's say this one is 8 feet. So I multiply by 8, pause, and see if you can come up with the answer with a label. Welcome back. Did you get 25.12 feet? Now, pause and see if you can answer in terms of pi. Please pause the video and see if you can figure it out in terms of pi. So when you put in C equals pi times d, you just plug in the 8 for the diameter. And then I rewrote it so the coefficient came before, and then I made sure I had my my label, my unit of feet on the end. So now we're also going to have to find the area. Cool wheel in the background. So we're going to pretend that the preschool needs a circular rug for their circle time. They can fit a 14-foot rug in diameter. We want to know the area. The area is the stuff on the inside, so we have to fill it up. So anytime you write a big A, you're going to label it in units squared. So my area is my pi, 3.14, times my radius squared. So in order to figure out your radius, you need to know what it is. In a circle, radius is half the distance from the midpoint to the outside. middle to the outside. So if you know the diameter, which is all the way across, and the diameter is 14, pause the video and see if you can figure out what half of that, or the radius, is. Okay, if you said if the diameter is 14, that means the radius has to be half of that, or 14 divided by 2. The radius is 7. So I'm going to do 7 squared. The biggest mistake kids make is when they're doing squared, they do 7 times 2. That's not what it means. It means 7 times 7. And 7 times 7 is 49, so I always do my power first, and then I can go to my calculator and do 3.14 times 49 and get 153.86, or 86 hundredths. My unit, in this case, it's in feet, so feet squared, or square feet. That is the area. If I was asked to give it in terms of pi, so you would write the formula, A equals pi r squared, because you're doing area. Area, apple pie is delicious too. So A equals pi r2, my area, I'd leave the pi in there, and I put my radius of 7 in it and square it. And then I have to solve for my coefficient first. So 7 squared is 49, so my answer is 49 pi with a label of feet squared. These answers are equivalent. They're exactly the same. The only thing that's different is I substituted in 3.14 for pi. So Little Boy Blue, I don't know if you know that story, but Little Boy Blue lost his sheep and his cattle are in the corn. Something like that. Anyway, so if Little Boy Blue lamb was tied to a stake with a rope that was 12 feet long, what would the area of the circle would be? So he wants to feed his sheep. So he ties him to a stake right in the middle. And he has a rope that is 12 feet long. He could eat this entire area. So I want to figure out what this area is. So the area of a circle is pi r squared. I substitute in 3.14 for pi. The radius is 12. So since the radius is tied for the stake, it would be all the way 12 feet in all directions. So 12 squared. Pause and see if you can calculate the area that the lamb can graze. So the lamb could graze 452 and 1,600 square feet. And I'd have to change that every once in a while because obviously he'd eat the grass down, and so he'd need to move his sheep just another 12 feet out of the way so he could regraze another area. If I asked you to do it in terms of pi, again, you'd write the formula, A equals pi r squared, but then you'd leave the pi alone and you just do radius squared. But since we know it's going to come over here, and I already know that 12 squared is 144, I'm just going to plug in 144 next to the pi and label it in feet squared. Again, these two answers are equivalent. Most often you're going to be asked to find this one, but sometimes on the MCAs they like to pull in the pi, so you would use that. This is a picture of the London Eye. It is the large Ferris wheel attraction that is in London, England. So the London Eye has a diameter, real world, okay? This is true. The diameter all the way across the London Eye is 120 meters. So if you wanted to find the circumference of the London Eye, the circumference is pi times d, 3.14 times 120. So pause, and then I'd also like you to find the area. But you need to find the area, and with area you have radius. So what do you have to do with your diameter? If the diameter is 120, the radius is going to be half of that. So pause the video and see if you can find the area and the circumference. Alright, checking out your work. Did you get a circumference is 376 and 8/10 meters, and then the area is 11,304 square meters. So that is true. Alright, the next practice problem is for a circular placemat, aka a doily. It has a radius of 7 inches. The reason I'm using a doily is because I found this picture. That was kind of cool. It's got some circles on it. I want you to find the circumference in the area. Pause the video, and when you're done, circle your answers so I know that you watched this. Thank you. Okay, so when you find your circumference, you need to first calculate the diameter. The radius is 7 inches, so if you were to draw a circle, radius is only halfway across. So if that's 7, the other half is going to be 7, so you have to add them together, or you can multiply by 2. 7 plus 7 is 14, or 7 times 2 is also 14. So my diameter, I had to figure that out first, is 14 inches. So I take 3.14 times 14, and I get a circumference of 43.96 inches. Now the area, on the other hand, is pi r squared. Apple pie is delicious too. So area is pi times 7, which is the radius, squared. 7 squared means 7 times 7. That's how I got my 49. I took 3.14 times 49 and I got a total area of 153.86 inches squared. Thanks for labeling and showing linear work. Word. So this is a picture of a clock, a famous tower that's in London. And Big Ben is not only known for its clock, but it's also known as for its bell, which cracked. So it's set in an iron frame that is 23 feet in diameter. So real world, this is 23 feet across this frame right here. So I want to know the circumference of this clock and the area. So how much space it takes up. So pause the video and see if you can please find the circumference and the area. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Your circumference was 72.22 feet, or 72 and 2200 feet. It's not squared because it's just a distance around. So the Big Ben clock has a circumference of 72.22 feet. That's all the way around. And the area, so the clock face itself, you needed to first find the radius. So you took the diameter of 23, divided it in half, and you got 11.5. Then you take 3.14 times 11.5 squared. Now to get the squared feature, you had to take the arrow button or multiply it by itself twice. Multiply by 3.4 and you get a final answer of the area is 415 and 265 10,000 feet squared. That's it. I really appreciate you being here. Thank you and have a fabulous day.